She is a wonderful, very beautiful, talented comedian. So I'm really excited for you guys to hear her. So welcome to the stage, Taneika Carlin.
How are you guys? Thursday night, and y'all are up here showing up and showing out. Some of y'all are gonna be really tired in the morning, so thank you for coming. Like she said, my name is Taneika Carlin. I'm a local comic from here in Manhattan, Kansas. Matter of fact, I went to school right across the street at K-State. Give it up for K-State, guys. It's a great school, right? I didn't graduate, calm down. Brings me to where I am today, doing stand-up comedy and back in school. So some of you guys know me and some of you don't. I'd like to tell you some stuff about myself. It's gonna be weird shit because it's a comedy show. First, before we get started, I would like to give credit where credit is due. I started doing comedy about 6 years ago. I went to an open mic night with a friend, and he looks at me and he goes, you know, you should do a quick set. And I was like, I know I'm like conversationally funny, but I don't know about stand-up funny, right? And he's like, okay, it's no big deal. I'll get up, I'll show you how it's done. I'm like, cool. It was great, you guys. I'm telling you, this man was so amazingly, fantastically terrible. Nobody laughed. I don't think you guys understand. This is a bar, and there's drunk people at the bar, and drunk people laugh at everything. Zero laughter. For me, I was inspired. I was like, well, I can't do any worse. So here I am. So first weird thing about me, I have something called synesthesia. And what that is my wires are crossed a little bit in my brain. So the sensory input I get doesn't necessarily match my sensory reaction. I didn't know about it until I was about 8 or 9 years old. And my mom said the F word for the first time. And she never cursed. She was on the phone with somebody and she goes, fuck! And I saw bright blue. And I was like, uh-oh. I don't think that's normal. I like to think of it as a hidden talent now. It's hard to argue with me when you call me a bitch and it tastes like pineapple. I have irrational fears about really stupid things. Porta potties? Don't tell me I'm the only one in here afraid of porta potties. The shit cave. I'm afraid I'm gonna lose my keys, my phone, my wallet, myself. I'm hovering and I'm always afraid there's like some invisible force that's gonna grab me from underneath, you know, like those pneumatic tubes at the bank. I'm never to be seen again. I don't go out like that. I like music. I especially like streaming the live versions of my favorite songs. So when I sing over them, because I will, I can pretend the audience is clapping for me. Gotta be careful with that though. I listened to Everybody Hurts too many times on a loop the other day, and I started getting ads for antidepressants. I was like, uh-oh. I'm usually the last to know stuff, so I'm like, am I depressed? I don't want to take meds for that. Like, they have all these weird side effects. You know, they give you one medicine, and it gives you a rash. They give you a medicine for the rash, and it gives you migraines, and the next thing you know, you're walking around like some sort of pharmaceutical nesting doll. And they all have super crazy side effects too, like your typical nausea, fever, blindness, coma, death. But they give them fun names, right? So you still want to take them. The next time you guys hear a medication, it's going to fall into one of two categories. Remember me, it's going to either sound like a weed strain or a Pokemon character. You're welcome. It did get me thinking though, if I were gonna invent a drug, what would it be? What does the world need right now? And it came to me. One pill, once a day, lasts 24 hours, and you don't give a fuck about anything, ever. Stuck in traffic, you don't give a fuck. Your boss a raging asshole, who gives a fuck? Not you. I would call it no fucksium. Side effects would include your typical fever, nausea, scurvy, camel toe, maybe a little moose knuckle, throwing some anal discharge just for funsies. Yeah. I can do the splits. I know, it surprised the hell out of me too. I pulled my back one day just unplugging my phone from the charger the wrong way. But yeah, I can do the splits. I can't do it from standing. I mean, if I tried to do it right now, I'd rip every single muscle in my body from the waist down. But I can do it while I'm having sex. I know. It was a surprise to me too. We're doing it, and I look down, I got one leg straight down here, and I turn around, and there's my foot. I'm a secret gymnast. So I was married for about 15 years, got a divorce about 8 years ago. Dating's weird. I got out into the dating scene for just a little. It's crazy out here, you guys. It's insane. The first guy I went out with was still married. We met for coffee, and me not knowing he was still married. And he tells me, well, I figured after I pushed her down the stairs and we got the restraining order that it was over, so we're only married on paper. Next. Shortly after that, I met a guy I call the Amazing Shrinking Man, because when I was talking to him in the afternoon, he was 5'10", right? And I get to the spot to meet him for a drink, and he's 5'4". And I show up and I'm like, you know what? If you're gonna lie to somebody about something, maybe don't look like a 10-year-old with your legs dangling off the bar stool. But I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm here. I got ready. Sat down with the guy. Stuff started out pretty normal. He wanted to know what I did for a living, hobbies, stuff like that. I asked him the same thing, and he says, well, I am retired military, and sometimes I Uber on the weekends. And I was like, cool. He was like, I have an apartment here in town. I'm like, okay. And he says, well, I don't have much furniture outside of my bedroom. And I'm like, I know where this is going. I did not know where this was going. Oh. Because then he proceeds to tell me, well, if I had more furniture in my place, I wouldn't have room for my collection. I'm like, okay. I'm thinking maybe he puts together models or something like that, planes, trains, maybe some automobiles. Nope. This man has a collection of literal medieval torture devices. Yeah, swords, daggers, brass knuckles, mace, like the big spiky ball kind, not the spray. Yeah, so of course I'm horrified, right? I don't say anything. And this abbreviation of a man is gonna look at me and say, do you feel safe with me? I beg your finest pardon. I always wanted to be on TV, but not Dateline or 48 Hours. Went to the bathroom and never came back. I did talk to a guy shortly after that. We talked for a couple weeks. Everything was cool. He had his own place. He had a good job. Seemed like he had it really going on. Had the time and desire to want to settle down. So after a couple weeks, we decided we're going to set up a date. So the night before the date, he texts me and he says, hey, before we meet tomorrow, there's something I got to tell you. And you guys remember I went out with a married dude and a potential serial killer. So my hopes were not high. It wasn't anything like that. He says, well, a few years ago, I had cancer. And I just wanted you to know my scans are clean, everything's good, but I have a prosthetic, and it makes some people uncomfortable. I'm like, oh, I'm a pretty open-minded person, so I don't really care about that stuff. So I asked him about it, and he says, well, it's easier if I just send you a picture. And I was like, oh boy. Never had an undick pic before. What if his dick's missing? It wasn't that. He sent me a picture of his face, but there was one big difference. He had a hole where his nose should be. Like the dude had no nose. I'm not kidding. Straight up. And I realized in that moment that I am not nearly as open-minded as I thought I was. Because I had questions. Do you ever have to blow your nose? What happens when you sneeze? Am I still allowed to call people nosy, or is that offensive? Yeah, so that one didn't, it's the only time I've ever really ghosted somebody with no explanation, so sorry if you're watching. Dating in a college town is really weird when you're a local. You know, you see all the trends come and go, and I've noticed guys around here really get into your hair trends. You know what I mean? Like, I remember, it's not a new thing. Like, I remember when I was younger and everybody had like the Justin Timberlake, like the crunchy ramen noodle hair for a minute. And then there was a Justin Bieber with the hair and half of his face. I think you guys are just waiting on a new Justin, personally. But right now, we have porn stashes and mullets. And before this, it was bald on top with a big ass beard. And I gotta say, I'm really glad that trend died down, because there was a whole lot of you guys walking around with your hair on backwards. My standards are different now that I'm older. When I was younger, I didn't really care about the things I care about now. Like, when I was younger, it was just, do you have a good job, got your own place, got a nice car, got a big dick, you're cute, okay, cool. Now it's like, do you have good health insurance? Tell me about your 401k. Do you invest? Can you afford eggs? And have you had that same nose your whole life? Dicks are a touchy subject when you're dating, no pun intended. Like, you're vibing with somebody and you want to know, but you don't want to ask them, right? Like, nobody wants to get a dick pic, but it's a mystery. After a while, you start to get curious, the chemistry's there. You start looking for signs. Have you guys ever heard of Schrodinger's cat? Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, very, very short version. There's a box, there's a cat. Until somebody sees it, the cat in the box is both alive and dead, right? Until it's observed in one state or the other. Dicks are the same way. They're both big and small until I see them for myself. Schrodinger's dick, if you will. Yeah, there is one really good way to tell, though, because the old wives' tales aren't true, right? Like, I look at hands and feet, the way you walk, the way you sit, how you look in gray sweatpants. I crotch creep like a motherfucker. Yeah. But the old wives' tales aren't true, are they? Like, the only thing that it means when you have big hands and feet is that you wear big gloves and big shoes. The walk's not a good indicator either, because some dudes just have giant balls. So, there is one way to tell if your man's packing, though. Tell him about your sex toys. Tell him that you spend a lot of time with one vibrator in particular, a masterpiece named King Dong. Watch his reaction. If he's cool with it, you're good. If he's not, cut your losses now. I dealt with the race question a lot when I was dating. That was always one of the first questions people would ask me, what's your race? And if I didn't answer, they would just start guessing. Right? Like, at this point, I think I've been Puerto Rican, Polynesian, Portuguese, Spanish, Samoan, let's see, Hawaiian, Mexican, Cuban. I could go on for days. So I started guessing back. What dong are you? Are you a short dong, a long dong, a skinny dong, a chubby dong, a tiny dong, a micro dong, or my favorite, a king dong? Found me a real king dong in the wild, guys. Married him, best thing I ever did. I swear, mean left lean in the girth of a stretched out hair tie. Praise Jesus. Yeah, for whatever reason, older women are really having their time with younger men right now. I don't know what it is, because usually the guys around here don't want women that are old enough to know that A, blue balls aren't real, and B, yes, just the tip can still get you pregnant. My husband and I enjoy a little role play now and then. We've been married for almost 5 years. It's a lot easier for him than it is for me, though, because he works in hydraulics, and so he can say things like, that part's a tight fit. Do you want me to pound it harder? And I work in tech. So what am I supposed to say? How do you like my serial interface settings. Would you like to see my network segments? Come closer so I can whisper sweet transmission control protocols in your ear. Doesn't hit the same. Our age and jobs and stuff like that really aren't the main difference. The main difference is our difference in complexion, shall we say. He's a white guy, and I will tell you there are some things about my light-skinned lovers people that I just do not understand. Blue cheese. It smells horrible, looks like vomit. Why do you eat mayonnaise on everything? And why do you eat ranch on everything else? Why do you guys use such hot water when you shower? You know you cannot get a tan like that, right? And why are you so careless with your bodies? You guys act like you have a spare suit at home or something, you know what I mean? How many black people have you seen on Ridiculousness? I'll wait. How about Jackass? How many black people do you see getting attacked for going over zoo enclosures? Nary a Negro to be found, my friends. Not one. The lady that got her face chewed off by her chimp, not a black lady. The guy that got his face ripped off by his tiger, spoiler, not a black guy. It was Siegfried and Roy, not Siegfried and Ray Ray, because Ray Ray knows better. Yeah. I'm getting old, and sometimes I forget how old I am, so thank goodness technology reminds me, right? They keep pushing these Cologuard ads on me, and I'm like, they make it seem so normal, don't they? Here, just shit in this box and take it to the UVS store. I gotta say, when I was a kid, that is not anything that I ever thought an adult would tell me to do. You know what I mean? They just make it seem like it's just, no big deal. I thought we'd have flying cars by now. Nope. Best we can do is ship shit. Due for a colonoscopy this year. Yeah. Looking forward to it. I have heard horror stories, but to be fair, the horror stories I've heard have been from men. Like every woman I know is like, I don't see what the big deal is. Dudes with no medical training have been trying to put shit bigger than that up my ass for years with no drugs. Whatever. The thing I wasn't prepared for was perimenopause. Ooh. You're just living your life, and one day, bam! You've got insomnia, you've got rage, you've got night sweats, hot flashes, all of it, all at the same time. Mm-hmm. And nobody warned me about the itching. The itching was the absolute fucking worst. The soles of my feet, the palms of my hands, my boobs. My tits itched so bad that I wanted to set them on fire, y'all. It was horrible. They itched so bad that it inspired me to write a poem about the hell that is perimenopause. Would you guys like to hear it? All right, let's get your snap back. Fingers ringing? All right. It's called Itchy Tits and Bitch Fits. Sometimes I'm a bitch because my titties really itch. My husband doesn't understand chasing me around with his dick in his hand. Sometimes I'm in a mood and it's hard to keep pace. Will I rip off his clothes or will I rip off his face? Sometimes I'm sweet. Sometimes a little hood. I may be past society's expiration date, but I still taste damn good. There's some things that haven't really changed a whole lot since I've gotten older. I still do drugs, except for they're just the kind that keep me alive now. I still pee outside all the time, but now it's not because I'm a drunk college kid, it's because I drank too much water before I went on a hike. I can still drink liquor, can't drink milk, but I can still party. Matter of fact, I went to a party a few months ago, and it was really fun. It was a group of ladies my age and older, and it was a little different because some ladies were drunk and some ladies were stoned, and let's just say the energy levels for those two things are very different. So the drunk women wanted to play a game, and it was like a sort of like a balloon relay. You scoot on your butt across the floor with a balloon between your knees, and then you pass it off to a partner without using your hands. So the drunk women played, and the high women laughed, and it was a good time. And afterwards, everybody kind of just is quiet for a second. Everybody's getting a drink and a little snacks or whatever. So there's like a quiet in the room. And all of a sudden, one of the ladies goes, "We should have brought dildos." I was like, what in the white girl wasted? This is how I end up on Dateline or 48 Hours. Mr. Short and Scary didn't have nothing on this chick. When I tell you I've never texted my husband so fast to come get me. So while I'm waiting for my rescue, they decide they want to play another game. And it was okay, it was a card game, so there was like no boot scooting, boogieing, or dildos required, so I was cool with it. It was a truth or dare card game. And so the truth cards tell you what truth to tell, dare cards tell you what to do. So I remember there being a few rounds of truth. I think one of the questions was something like, what's the silliest reason you've ever ghosted somebody? You know, normal stuff. And finally one of the women gets a dare card. And she gets so excited. She's like, oh my God. She's like, it says, do your best gymnast move. And she's like, my daughter's a gymnast, and she was just teaching me some moves the other day. And I was like, awesome. So she runs up to the front of the room, and this is what she does. Now, we live in a college town, so I'm sure you guys know where this is going. And she stands up in front of the room. She's glowing with pride, right? And we look at each other, and we look at her, and I'm like, who's going to tell her? Finally, I was like, fuck it. I was like, babe, your daughter did not teach you a gymnast move. She taught you a sobriety test. And she looks mortified, right? She's like, oh. She's like, are you sure? I was like, oh, honey, of course I'm sure. I'm a secret gymnast, remember? That's my time. You guys have been awesome. Thank you